Man, I ain't know what to really make a video on, but I'ma just give my opinion kind of on, like the state of wrestling. And what kind of sparked this was I was eating lunch, going through, I was like, need something to watch. Just typed in like Stone Cold versus. And I was watching Stone Cold versus Dude Love. And Vince McMahon was the guest referee. And Undertaker was like out there at ringside. And it was just like a masterpiece of how you book a show. I wouldn't even say show, but the main event. You had Undertaker put Pat Patterson and that other, I think Briscoe guy, whatever, through like the announce table. He helped Stone Cold win, which I had no clue about this. And, Stone Cold and Mick Foley, they even went in the crowd, and, the fans were on their feet the entire time this match was going on. And I'm just like, okay, one, I typed in Stone Cold versus. And this match popped up. Even though they had buku different Stone Cold matches I could have watched and still would have been entertained. It's just the fact that wrestling now, no one's going back and look at promos. No one's going back and watch, these Roman Reigns matches. Like, who really goes back and look at Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar? People may go back and look at Roman Reigns versus Cody. I think at what that was, WrestleMania 40 or 40. It wasn't 41. It must have been 40. No one's going back and look at any of these newer, wrestling matches. How many people are going back and look at Cody promos? They might go back and look at Cody, I'll Need Your Soul Rock promo. Everyone goes back and look at Kurt Angle, The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, all of these, legendary wrestlers who wrestled from the 90s into the early 2000s. But no one is really... Like, I'm not even going back and look at any really Roman Reigns promo, to be honest. And Roman Reigns is the top guy in the WWE. And Triple H is, booking him so bad right now that, I think Triple H kind of has this ego where he's right there at the cusp where some of these younger talents could be better than him. And I think that's what's going on. As part of it. Roman Reigns could have a better career than Triple H, but like if we just stacking it against each other, man, like Roman Reigns' career, to be honest, isn't better than Triple H. Yeah, Roman held that title for 4 years or something. But that storyline. Triple H sells moves better. Honestly, Triple H had better promos. Triple H was just a good heel. And then when Triple H did turn babyface sometime, it was good. Triple H knows how to wrestle. I'm not saying Roman Reigns doesn't, but it's... Man, the wrestling wrestling did get better. Wrestling continues to, in-ring work does get better. But these newer wrestlers know zero about ring awareness, ring psychology, and why you do moves. And a big part of that is Vince McMahon, honestly. Like Vince McMahon, you couldn't do certain stuff. Vince McMahon will tell you to take this bump or that bump. It's, WWE is missing Vince. And I don't know how else to put that. I mean, I think it's a legitimate takedown. Like, they want WWE to fail. It's almost too big to fail, but there's some backdoor stuff that's going on with this product. And the current state of WWE is, we honestly have to get Triple H out of there. And Triple H, he knows better. But it has something to do with just the way the company is ran, because there's no way Triple H is this bad. I mean, Maven can probably book a better show. And the crazy part, we all know Triple H knows better. But like I say, it's TKO, it's Triple H, it's, you know, I think it's Silver Lake, you know, it's everything. I think the Saudis are trying to get this at a fire sale price. And AEW just, you know, they're in the same boat by being a new company. You know, if Vince McMahon went to AEW for 1 year, they would beat WWE in every rating for like the next 10 years if Vince went behind the scenes and started booking stuff for AEW. You know, I mean, bruh, like, hell, El Snow and OVW can do a better show than Triple H. I mean, you got all the talent right there at WWE and you don't know what to do with them. You see the same Judgment Day nonsense fighting different tag teams and then making singles matches out of the tag teams. Like, man, it's pitiful to watch. Like, man, kids doing general manager mode can do better stories than Triple H. But that's neither here or there. That was just kind of my take. And I'm not trying to make this whole video about Triple H, but man, no one's going back and watching, you know, new WWE stuff. They're not. And the crazy part, the women are having better stories and better matches than the men. Like, Evolve was one of the best pay-per-views of 2025. So take that with what you want. You know, I know Hills Advocate and stuff, they be trashing the women, but they do good stuff too. I mean, Naomi had a better story run than John Cena this year. You know, that's just a fact. But like I say, no one's going back and watch these newer, you know, WWE matches. Like, we all going back watching Kane chokeslam compilation. We going back and watch Undertaker matches. We going back and watch Bret Hart matches. You know, Hulk Hogan analytics. People went back and watched all of the Hulk Hogan stuff. Now they got a WCW vote. You know, people going back. I was just watching Sting versus the Great Muta from like 95. That match ended with like an electric chair kind of backdrop and he got the 3. And that match was more entertaining and had more psychology in it than, you know, an episode of Raw. But I mean, Sting and the Great Muta are like legendary wrestlers. But I mean, I don't know what they doing at development or training, but man, you got like Dean Malenko, Tyson Kidd, like you got all these people helping these people train. Is like, it's the booking, man. It's the booking. Paul Heyman, man, once they get Triple H out there and Paul Heyman becomes the booker, you're gonna see a brand new WWE. You know, I wouldn't be surprised Triple H takes out Paul Heyman. You know, Paul Heyman, you know, tragically something in a plane crash or something, because that's Triple H real competition right there. If Paul Heyman becomes Booker, if Paul Heyman becomes head of creative, because, Eric Bischoff couldn't touch Paul Heyman. And damn near Vince, I ain't gonna lie, Vince probably was scared of Paul Heyman, but he knew he ain't had the money. But hell, if you would have gave Paul Heyman like $100 million, ECW would be almost damn near number one right now. But, hopefully we get Paul Heyman as head of creative in the future, like a near future. But, man, let me know what y'all think, what the problem is with WWE right now. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm watching all of these YouTube channels, which, I said earlier, last year, y'all gonna have to make a decision. You got these wrestling YouTube channels that constantly hate on WWE, even if they do something positive or in the right direction. Now, I'm not gonna give Raw, a A plus. I'm not gonna give Raw an A plus. I still, to be honest, fell asleep on Raw and woke up and I finished it. But it's man, the commercials really take you out of Raw. It takes you out, and they put in these commercials in the worst spots ever. Sometimes we had mid commercials, right? But man, we miss a lot of action. It'll throw you off, especially with the Gunther and Javon Evans match. Javon Evans, he'll be putting belt to ass on Gunther, and then commercial. Okay, now Gunther's, winning the fight. It was stupid. But if I had to grade Raw last night, I would actually give Raw a cool 6. Raw was a cool 6. In hindsight, the garbage Raws that we've been getting, it would be a 10 out of 10 based on, how suck ass Raw has been. But in the overall WWE Raws, it's a 6 out of 10. And I'm going to kind of go through it. But, we got John Cena starting off, in Madison Square Garden, which this show probably was sold out. The crazy part, the crowd wasn't, they was loud, but they wasn't like the foreign crowds where they just mega loud. To be honest, Bianca Belair in her hometown got a bigger pop than John Cena at Madison Square Garden. And y'all think I'm lying. Y'all probably heard me say that just now and probably was like, get out of here. Go watch SmackDown when Bianca Belair came out, and that's kind of when, that segment with Naomi, she was like, oh, I visited your house or whatever. But go back and watch that. Bianca Belair got a super mega pop. But I just thought that was weird. Maybe John Cena got a big pop and, production turned it down, or they just didn't mic it right or something. I don't know. But it was still a pop, but it wasn't Triple H return pop. It wasn't nothing like that. And make a long story short, of course, Dominic came out, blah, blah, blah. Judgment Day, jump John Cena, Sheamus runs out, Rey Mysterio run out, 6-man tag. Now, when I saw Rey Mysterio run down the ramp, I was like, oh my goodness, Rey Mysterio is not ring ready. That was a lie. Rey Mysterio was ring ready. He shook that whatever rust off. Rey Mysterio still hitting Hurricane Rana, still taking dives, still taking bumps. Like, man, them luchadors could be 65. And for some reason, they knees never give out. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but, you know, I would have actually loved to see John Cena versus Rey Mysterio as maybe John Cena last match, but I'm happy with this match. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. JD McDonough, his moonsault is perfect. His moonsault damn near better than Kurt Angle. His moonsault is almost as great as Ultimo Dragon moonsault, which is the best moonsault ever. You know, his moonsault is actually a moonsault, not just a backflip. I gotta be fair, man. This match was a 9 out of 10. You know, I don't want to be one of those people that just cannot give a 10 out of 10. But this match was, man, Judgment Day. If you look at the wrestlers in Judgment Day, being honest, they good. You know, in ring wise, they're good. They have ring awareness. Then you had John Cena, Rey Mysterio, and Sheamus, veterans. You know, I'm going to just say 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. This match was a 9 out of 10. Then, moving on. Nikki Bella heel turn. I mean, we didn't ask for this, but it's shaking up the women's division a little bit. So I guess we'll watch it if it's on. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll watch it if it's on. But we don't really care about Nikki Bella versus Stephanie. But if it's on, we'll watch it. Then you had Dolph Ziggler come back. I was so pissed because I wanted it to be Edge or Chris Jericho. People look at Dolph. I mean, we know Dolph Ziggler is a good wrestler. And I love this match. It gave that, you know, this is what wrestling was supposed to be like right now. Like, I mean, ring awareness. He didn't just move super fast. You know, when he made everything count. These wrestlers don't do that. Like, these wrestlers are hit a Spanish fly and, you know, lay down on the ground for like a second and pop right back up. No, Dolph Ziggler, I mean, Solo is good at this too. And, you know, this is what I mean, it was believable. Like, you're not going to hit a Spanish fly and just roll up and instantly like start fighting. You're not going to do all this flippy diffy, like hardcore moves and then still kick out. You know, Dolph Ziggler gave it his all. Solo hit him with the Samoan spike and he took the pin. You know, even, you know, if this was anybody else, they would have kicked out. It would have had to take Solo like 3 Samoan spikes to pin somebody. Like, you know, Solo gave him a devastating Samoan spike. And boom. 1, 2, 3. And that's what I like. You know, that match, 9 out of 10. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a regular match. But Dolph Ziggler brought it. Solo brought it. You know, Solo was he made Dolph Ziggler look good. Even though Dolph Ziggler hit that elbow drop, boom, 1, Solo kicked out. Just because Solo was like, I'm Solo. Like, I'm supposed to kick out at 1. I'm supposed to be this devastating force, but, you know, talking to anybody else, they wouldn't like that. But We moving on. Charlotte Flair came back to save Alexa Bliss. I guess Charlotte is in WarGames. We already knew this. Nice little segment. You know, she came in with the kendo stick. Lash Legend, you need ring awareness. That's the problem with y'all new folk. Y'all get hit with something. Okay, you acted hurt, but you didn't act hurt long enough. Lash Legend, like 3 times. She hit you with the kendo stick. You act hurt for a half a second, and then you turn around. Charlotte Flair is looking the other way, and you almost have like 2 seconds to actually like hit Flair and sort of change the movement. You could at least if Charlotte Flair is just looking the other way, before walking up or something, I'm not in the ring, but you could have pulled her hair or something and let her hit you or something. These new wrestlers are not taught. If things aren't set in stone, ABC, they don't have a A1, a A2, or B1, B2. They're just strictly, if we miss a step, it throws them off. And I don't know where the veterans are, but they need to get it together. That's the whole point of NXT, to get you ready for this main roster stuff. And maybe they just feel like a lot of people aren't ready, but Jade got ready on the main roster. Lash, you've been in NXT, come on. But another match, and this is where I fell asleep from these damn commercials and stuff, but AJ Lee returns, which distracts Becky and let Maxine Dupree win. She's the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. This match actually was the worst match in their little trio. They fought 3 times or whatever. They went hard the first time, but they just had to get this belt off of Becky so AJ Lee and Becky could, I guess they're going to have a rivalry or something like that. But kind of glad we got Maxine Dupree, which is a good wrestler. She's not a jobber. You just don't see her. Now we can see her. If we was getting Maxine Dupree versus Lyra and some of these other people, hopefully we could get a Roxanne versus her. And you got so many other women wrestlers y'all could be throwing at this girl. But WWE will take a storyline that's not a storyline and just drag it out for 4 months. It's dumb. Hopefully we get to see Maxine Dupree, defend her title at least twice a month. Fight 1 week, don't fight the next week, fight the next week, backstage. Come on, y'all could do that. Next we had Javon Evans versus Gunther. And even this match was y'all gonna call me crazy, but this match, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. This was actually more entertaining than CM Punk versus Gunther. Okay, Javon Evans does the flippy dippy stuff. He calls himself bouncy. And he's not stiff with it, I guess. He does his little kicks. He jumps out the ring. This was a nice match for Gunther. Gunther wasn't doing really heelish shit. Gunther, I don't know. They kind of ruined Gunther's. Gunther is supposed to be like Kane. Kane never really did all the heelish type stuff. but he was a menace. You didn't want to mess with Kane. You were afraid of Kane. Gunther, you got choked out by Jey Uso. That destroyed your character. If Gunther really wanted to get that back, I thought Gunther was about to shake Javon Evans' hand. Gunther should have shook his hand and then put him in a sleeper for 5 minutes until he was unconscious. Like, that's how you get over as a heel. It would have kind of made Javon Evans not really look bad, but Gunther's, you're up there. But, now we're going to have, I think, Solo versus Gunther. Solo's probably going to win that. Hopefully Gunther doesn't win it, because we don't need to see Gunther versus John Cena. We don't need to see that. Gunther doesn't need that. But maybe Gunther will get the IC title if Dominic don't beat him. Then the last, what should I say, face-off with, CM Punk, the Usos, Cody Rhodes, which is crazy. Cody Rhodes, you got a team with both champions on it, and the Usos, and Roman Reigns. So you have the Bloodline, Cody and CM Punk, versus the Vision, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul. It's good, but I'm surprised they're using every last good super. Like, you have no backup. And Bronson Reed is a jobber. Braun Breaker, he's right there. I'm about to call him a jobber, but I can't, because he got the best spear in the industry. But don't get it twisted. This match won't be what you expect. You're going to get a lot out of the Usos, and a lot out of Logan Paul, and a lot out of Drew McIntyre. CM Punk, Roman, and Brock Lesnar and Cody will not give y'all their all. I guarantee you those guys are old. Brock Lesnar going to take some people to Suplex City. The Usos just going to super kick and spear. This is going to be a spear fest. The Usos need to take the spear out of their repertoire. Braun Breaker does the spear perfect. Roman does the spear okay. But Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso using the spear is like, these weak people shouldn't be using the spear. Do some Samoan shit. Samoans barely super kick. Samoans do the Samoan drop. Samoans do, I would say they do spine buster sometime, but like Nia Jax's moveset is a Samoan moveset. I don't know. Some people love the Usos. I don't like these new Usos. I thought maybe Jacob Fatu was going to come out. I mean, I honestly would have preferred Jacob Fatu be in this match than Roman. Because we know what's going to happen. Roman going to come and then he going to be out of here. They're going to probably injure Roman and fake injury Roman. But the crowd popped when Brock Lesnar came. The crowd popped when Roman came out. Got them cheap pops. And that kind of sent Raw over the edge. That's why I would have gave Raw. I would have, if Raw was a 6 out of 10, this cheap pop made it a 7 out of 10. But we was like, oh, wow. So, they're really doing this. That's kind of what everyone's thinking. Like, wow. CM Punk, Cody, and the Bloodline, the original Bloodline versus these guys. If they lose, it's over. But that's y'all little Raw review. Put in the comments what y'all think, gonna happen next at WarGames. Okay, y'all, we gonna talk about SmackDown. It ain't gonna be no big review, but I'm not gonna say SmackDown was just total garbage. You know, I didn't fall asleep on SmackDown like how I fell asleep on Raw. But Jade's like 1 minute promo for that entrance was very unnecessary. I don't know why they're making her do that. You know, Jade is like this super angry heel, not scared of nobody. You know, I don't understand that. Then Julia losing the title is wild. You know, Julia legit is like the best or one of the best women wrestlers in the world. Like, and WWE doesn't know what to do with her. You know, I like Chelsea Green, but at some point, I mean, man, Julia is a world-renowned talent. You know, she might not have the clout yet, but she's really good. She don't hurt people, you know. You know, she does the strong style, but I think, you know, maybe people talk about not talking English, you know, sets you back. But I mean, like, the Great Muta didn't talk English, and a lot of people know who he is, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Then you got Cody and Aleister Black. That match was okay. I ain't gonna lie, that match was okay. I liked Aleister Black versus Dragunov better, but you know, this just proves you don't have to do all that flippy dippy hoorah stuff to be over. Then Drew McIntyre comes back, kicks the ref, claymores the ref, and gets suspended. I'm sick of this. I mean, why couldn't Cody just win this match clean? And then Drew attacks Cody. Like, SmackDown is stupid. Then R-Truth, clown, coon, dumb. You know, I'm so upset with R-Truth. I lost so much respect for R-Truth. Horrible person. You know, to sell out like that and go back to that dumb, idiotic role, then have a nice little run. You know, the beginning segment was dumb. I didn't even watch the MFT match versus what that was, Dragon Lee or whoever that was. Did not watch, or Ray Phoenix or whatever. I didn't watch that bull. No one cares about the MFTs. Dragunov had his match, which was great. That actually was a good match. It was the best match on SmackDown, you know. And I'm skipping over this stuff because there ain't nothing to talk about. Last but not least, you had Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax. And I like that Lash Legend came in. I don't like that Lash Legend is going to be in a tag team with Nia Jax. But I do like the fact that Nia and Charlotte did they little smack each other thing. Like, people thought there was going to be some tension. Obviously, they know how to play well together, so maybe they squashed their little beef or whatever. You know, I thought that was nice. But if Lash Legend is coming to SmackDown, I'm pretty sure Trick Williams is going to go to SmackDown. Because I think him and Lash Legend, I don't know if they're married or they're just boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know. But I hate the fact that Lash is being in a tag team. The only reason Lash could be in a tag team is if WWE don't feel like she's there yet with the in-ring stuff. But you put her with Nia Jax, like, it would make more sense to put her with Julia, someone who has ring awareness and everything. You know, put her with her or make her, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't have put Lash in no tag team. I would have let Lash go out there, get a little win streak, little 5 win streak, something going on. You know, not the tag team. But I ain't gonna lie. Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, and Nia Jax will get her right. They veterans, they'll get all right. People like Bailey, Oscar, they help the new people. They're helping Lyra right now, which Lyra is there. But, I'm not talking too much on the SmackDown review. I mean, it was booty, but it was better than Raw. That's all I got to say. It was better than Raw. So, peace. Okay, so everybody's talking about this. I might have to just throw my little 2 cents on this. So we talking about record low viewership for SmackDown. Under 1 million. This was predicted. A lot of people was predicting, saw the ratings go down, 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 down. And I wonder, I doubt that this has anything to do with this, because the show was garbage. But a lot of people were watching, including myself, was watching SmackDown live through the USA Network app. Now, I think, by it being live and you're watching it through the USA Network app, that still counts as viewership. Now, September 30th was the last day that app worked. Supposedly, the USA Network and Peacock had some kind of deal or something where the USA Network library moved to Peacock. But that live service where the USA Network had like a section of live where you can watch certain stuff live. So they had like 10 or 15 channels that you can watch live in your area, like east west type stuff. So I would actually watch SmackDown live off the USA Network app. Now I have to VPN through Netflix and jump over hurdles and stuff to watch SmackDown on my TV. Now, I'm tech savvy in doing that, but you might have some people that just like, okay, if it ain't coming on the USA Network app and they not paying buku money for cable, they not watching SmackDown. I think that plays a part of it. Of course, Triple K, Triple Fraud, Triple H been booking horrible shows. But then you still have some people that are like big WWE fans that, we watch Raw and SmackDown faithfully. But when you take away, like, at least this part, the USA Network app, now you actually, I honestly think that's what got them under 1 million. I think SmackDown was going to coast probably like over 1 million. I think they can pull 1 million, at least 1 million. But I think taking away that USA Network app, you saw that like 100K, 200K drop off, I'm going to say this. You probably had about 100K drop off due to that USA Network app. And you probably only had about 50,000 might have dropped off because of Halloween. That's probably accurate. But that USA Network app really had a lot of people watching SmackDown. Not like millions, but I think that might have been floating them right at 100 at a million. They probably had about 800 to 900,000 viewers off of cable and like Netflix. And then you probably had about 100K, maybe 75K right there on the USA Network app. Because I know faithfully I was on that app. And if you didn't have cable, but your grandma had cable, aunt had cable, parents might actually have cable, you could just log in on that USA Network app and boom, you got it. So, SmackDown has been trash too. I mean, you had people tuning out every single week, they cannot watch this, especially when it was 3 hours. Man, that was horrible brain rot to watch SmackDown for 3 hours. Like, you gotta get up and walk away. Like, you can't sit there 3 hours and watch that. Even Raw. Like, if the wrestling itself, decent or a little bit above decent, you couldn't even watch the current state of WWE. The only reason, I think people still watching it ain't for the story. It ain't for the story. It's, man, the wrestling is just a little bit above average. You can't watch you got some indie wrestlers that are okay, but the indies and AEW are super mega flippy dippy. Everybody's Jeff Hardy on steroids in the indies. They doing too much of hardcore deathmatch. Like, I'm with Jerry the King Lawler on that. The hardcore stuff, the kids kind of like that, but the hardcore for no reason just doesn't make sense. Okay, yeah, you could throw some chairs in there, maybe a table here and there, but when you have 9 table spots for a one-on-one match, it ain't right. Like, at least, I forgot who John Moxley was fighting with, Darby Allin or something. They had a lot of heat with each other. That's why their little death match or whatever they was doing, made sense. But a lot of these wrestlers rely on hardcore to try to get their matches over. You got to look at CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They didn't have their Hell in a Cell until, months of build-up. Literally months of build-up. They had 3 matches before they even got to that Hell in a Cell. So that's the alternative, is WWE. Trash WWE. Dog water WWE wrestling. So I think SmackDown, you don't get a pass. Your views were going down, but that USA Network app being discontinued hurt them ratings as well. So it is Triple H. Don't get me wrong. It's 90% Triple H's fault. But that 10% going under 1 million, that was definitely part of the USA Network app. And maybe 1% Halloween. But at the same time, it's Halloween. Y'all didn't even have the Wide 6 come out. It's stuff like that. The Wide 6, the most horror, suspenseful team in WWE, don't make an appearance for Halloween. That just shows you Triple H does not know what he's doing. But y'all put in the comments, how many of y'all actually watched SmackDown off the USA Network app? And will Peacock put the USA Network live on Peacock. Y'all let me know. Okay, y'all, so it's time to get into it. Saturday night's main event. You know, I actually watched it. I want to say it was a few hours after it had happened, because I can't watch this, you know, live. Like, I don't know. Something about WWE. I mean, it was full of ads. It was on Peacock, which I thought, you know, I thought everything was on like ESPN now or something, but, you know, Saturday night main event, it was just, you know, mid. I'm not gonna sit up here and say it was garbage, but it was what a Saturday night main event, I guess, is supposed to feel like, I guess. But, you know, they started it off. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, which, like I'm gonna say, this was a Saturday night main event match. I didn't expect nothing too crazy, you know, but, you know, people saying it's making Cody turn heel. I mean, Drew McIntyre brought the belt in the ring, so it's not like Cody went get the belt. I mean, if you could capitalize off something where heel brings a weapon into the ring and it doesn't work for him, you know, kind of like how, like, I think Randy Orton did something with the turnbuckle and Cody Rhodes ended up capitalizing off it. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, it's not like Cody went out the ring and, you know, I think this is just a twist to try to make you think Cody's turning heel. Cody not turning heel for nobody. And everybody like, oh, Randy Orton gonna come in there and do nothing happened. This was a clean win for Cody. That's all that was. That's all that was. And maybe Randy Orton attacked Drew McIntyre. I mean, Jacob Fatu. Randy Orton probably attacked Jacob Fatu just so he could stay out of that WWE Undisputed title picture. That's probably what happened. Moving on. You had... Sorry for the yawning. You had Jade versus Tiffany. Now, Jade beat Tiffany ass. You know, the match was 90% one-sided in Jade Cargill's favor. Now, this is how this match should have happened months ago. Months ago. It should have happened this way. You know, you're telling me all of a sudden Jade turns heel and becomes Super Saiyan 4 and just able to beat Tiffany so easily. Now, the problem I had with this match is that, okay, you give Tiffany a knee injury just so Jay can't just get a clean victory over Tiffany, but yet Tiffany gets 2 clean victories and also a fast victory over Jade at SummerSlam. When Jade is supposed to be this wrecking force, you know, the storm is coming. She won Queen of the Ring. Jade beat Asuka. Okay, Asuka ain't nothing to play with. Like, Asuka is the best female wrestler on the roster. You know, if Asuka and Bianca fought, you know, I ain't gonna say 9 times out of 10, but it'll be split half and half, probably Bianca winning over Asuka. You know, Asuka just got that. She just got that rep, you know. So, I mean, Tiffany can't beat Asuka. You know, there's no reason Jade couldn't dominate Tiffany earlier on. I mean, I don't know what WWE sucks. You know, they just want Jade's win to be like, I don't know, her career botched. I mean, the first time, you know, you let Jade win at Saturday Night Main Event. Jade couldn't win at, you know, SummerSlam. You know, you couldn't give her a big win like that. I don't know. It's just, they don't want Jade to have a future. They probably gonna release Jade, you know, 5 years from now. But I know Triple H can't wait for Bianca to retire. Triple H is probably pissed off. He got Bianca and Jade in the company. Two big, strong black women that basically undefeatable. You know, they not booking Jade like that. Jade is supposed to be booked like Bobby Lashley in AEW. There ain't nobody on the SmackDown roster besides Bianca that should be able to just wipe Jade off the map. You know, you got Nia Jax too, but you know, it's just the booking. They booking Jade like Tozawa, you know. But shout out to Jay for winning. Jay, I know you're proud. Jay, you're not supposed to be that proud to beat a hurt Tiffany Stratton in kayfabe. Next, Dominic, Penta, Rusev. They did little cool spots or whatever. Dirty Dominic, blah, blah, blah. Rings the bell. You know, Dirty Dom wins again. Dominic is over with the crowd. I mean, he's the son of Eddie Guerrero. You know, Dominic is trying to go down as the greatest Mysterio ever. We gonna see. You know, if Dominic stays in the company, you know, a long time, like if Dominic has this like 30-year career, maybe. You know, but another win for Dom. I mean, I'm not mad. Dominic, he got the perfect story, the perfect, you know, come up. I feel like, you know, he did his time, you know, learning the ropes or whatever. So, I mean, I'm ready for Dominic to win the Royal Rumble. Not maybe this year, but, you know, 2027, you know, Dominic World Heavyweight Champion. You know, but he got to get out of Judgment Day. Like, Judgment Day, I think we all ready for that faction to dismantle. And last, you know, mid-card event, Jey Uso versus CM Punk. Honestly, it didn't matter to me who won this match because, I mean, Triple H is booking faces versus faces, bro. I mean, Triple H has to be fired at this point. Bro, you book a face versus face match. And then you damn near turn Drew McIntyre face. Triple H sucks at his job. Michael Cole sucks at his job. Damn. I mean, bruh, Mick Foley could book better stuff than this. But honestly, I like seeing Jey Uso as champion. You know, I think the first time Jey Uso got his championship, he fought Seth Rollins, and I mean, that match was a banger on Raw. Like, that match was a banger. You know, Jey Uso, I hate his moveset. You know, super kick, super kick, super kick. Like, Jey Uso don't really know how to wrestle unless, you know, they're the Usos. You know, I mean, Jeff Hardy has way more moves. Matt Hardy has way more moves. The Dudleys have a better moveset, you know, when they're by themselves. I mean, Jey Uso, your spear sucks. I remember everyone thought you had did a cross body, but it was actually a spear. I mean, Braun Breaker is the only person that should be doing the spear besides Roman and Braun. Like, why the hell is what's that guy's name, bruh? That does the Crew de Gras. I forgot. I can't believe I can't think of that jobber's name. But he did like a spear, and I'm like, bruh, you weak as hell. Like, how you doing a spear? Like, the spear should be a saved move for big people only. They the only people that need to be doing the spear. No one else should do the super kick. Like, can you think, like, CM Punk doesn't do super kicks? You know, all these people doing super kicks. Like, that's the only reliable source Jey Uso goes to. And Jey Uso don't know what to do. He's doing a super kick. He's gonna dive. You know, and can we please stop doing the going through the barricade spot? Like, they do that every Monday. They're starting to do it every SmackDown. It's like, god damn, like, can we stop? Like, can y'all bring the match, you know, like, maybe up the ramp? You know, like when Tiffany dived off of that the Titantron or whatever, like, that was fire. You know, bring, you know, I remember on Raw, you know, everyone might have fought, you know, going up the stage to in the back. You know, like, they'd had other stuff, like they would use the arena. Like, why are we just constantly doing that broken barricade spot? It's dumb. Like, it's too overused. And why does Jey Uso, who has the weakest spear in WWE, able to just go through the barricade? Like, that should be only for powerful people. Next, what we gonna see? Penta, you know, spear somebody through the barricade? You know, at least Penta could pick up Rusev. Like, I don't even think Jey Uso could pick up Rusev. If Jey Uso fought Rusev, he would lose all the time. At least Penta put up a good fight against Rusev. Like, honestly, Dominic, you know, if you put Dominic and Jey Uso in a match, the crowd is cheering for Dominic. That's all I gotta say. But CM Punk had to hit Jey Uso with like 9 go-to-sleeps. Bro, this is unheard of. Like, the finisher means nothing in WWE anymore. Nothing. You hit Jey Uso with a go-to-sleep on Raw and he's out for 10 minutes. You hit him with 9 go-to-sleeps on a Saturday night main event. You know, that just goes to show you, you know, the go-to-sleep is trashed. Go-to-sleep used to be a protected finisher. You know, you get hit with it twice, it's over. Now, you can hit Jey Uso 9 times. Jobber Uso. Mid-card to lower card event Uso. Man, like, if AEW wasn't such, you know, dumbasses, they could literally be the #1 wrestling company in the world. Are making their way there. But, you know, they just brought back Sting. You couldn't bring back anyone else. And now you're going to have an open tournament for John Cena's last match. No story, no nothing. Just, you know, we're going to have a tournament. Jey Uso versus John Cena. I guarantee you we get Jey Uso versus John Cena. We're not getting Adam Cole. You know, we're not getting Chris Jericho. We're not, you know, it might be Brock Lesnar again. That's how dumb WWE is. Won't be The Rock. You know, The Rock versus, you know, John Cena would be fire. You know, for that to be his last match, because, you know, you sold your soul and, you know, didn't work out. So The Rock versus John Cena last match, that would have worked perfectly. Nope, we're not gonna get that. We're gonna get some jobber versus John Cena. Now, if we actually got heel R-Truth versus John Cena, that would have been fire, but nope. Aleister Black versus John Cena, like some dumbass shit like that. You know, WWE sucks. And they're doing Jade wrong. You know, Triple K needs to be fired. Everything wrong with WWE is because of Triple H. You know, they're trying to run that company in the ground for some reason. I have no idea. But if you didn't see Saturday Night Main Event, just watch the highlights on YouTube, bro. That's it. Peace. Okay, y'all, this is going to be an ultra short video because I can't recap Raw. Raw was mid at best, but I'm going to just kind of go through the takeaways of what happened on Raw and what I want to get y'all opinion on stuff. So you have Logan Paul seemingly either joining the Vision or kind of basically telling Paul Heyman, I don't want any smoke with the Vision. So, you know, and I actually like this ending the Raw. So Logan Paul comes in there, you like, okay, he's gonna help CM Punk, and then boom, he just punches CM Punk, and we like, oh my god. And it means Logan Paul is a true heel. You know, you can't have all baby faces. You know, Logan Paul staying a heel, I loved it. You know, we need lots of heels. You know, we got too many baby faces. But I kind of got that maybe Logan Paul is siding with the Vision, not necessarily joining the Vision. Now, I know they're gearing up for WarGames. So you'll have the Vision plus one, Logan Paul. Then you had the segment of Paul Heyman trying to turn Jey Uso heel, saying that he has a vision of his own. If Jey Uso turns heel, I don't know. I'm here for it. I didn't think they would turn Jey Uso because, I mean, a lot of kids like to eat. And you don't want to really have them turn on Jey Uso. So I don't think Jey Uso is going to turn heel. He might be an anti-hero. You know. And then we're going to move on from that. You know, I thought a one-on-one Punk and Logan Paul feud, I was here for it. You know, I'm not going to go into depth about how this title win for CM Punk is completely meaningless. You know, I'm not going to go into that. That's another video. But we're going to move on. No one cares about this John Cena tournament. We moving on because, you know, if it's not somebody like Edge or damn near The Miz or, you know, somebody like, is it going to be Sheamus? You know, we don't want it to be Gunther, but that's probably what we're going to get. Next, the Asuka Kabuki Warriors versus, you know, Bayley and Lyra. That was actually a good match. I actually like that, you know, they were going at each other's corners and like pulling the person down and fighting. I mean, that's what we do on the video games. I mean, no one ever does that, but I like that they did that. And Bailey was kind of like, oh, it reminded them of Damage Control. I literally want Asuka and Bailey to become a tag team. Lyra and Kari could become a tag team. That would actually be fire. And they don't have to go on to try to win championships or anything like that. It could literally just be Bailey and Asuka teaming up for maybe a month or two, wrecking shit. Like, that would be fire. Next, we moving on. Stephanie Vecchia and Raquel redid their spot, and it went good. Last time Stephanie like tweaked her knee on that little spot that they did, that crossbody spot. They recreated that this week. That was fine. Nikki Bella just wants her flowers so she could leave with John Cena. And I mean, damn, that was Raw. I mean, no one cared about AJ Lee, the tag team AJ Lee. No one cares about, I mean, AJ Styles is a good wrestler, so of course his match is going to be good, but no one cares about this. The Dominic and Rey Mysterio. That segment was fire because the crowd started chanting Dirty Dom when Rey Mysterio was talking, and that meant something. That meant right there, Rey Mysterio had to be like, okay, my job's done. He got his son in the company. Dominic got over on his own. And now he's an AAA champion and Intercontinental champion, which is a big deal. Now, like I keep saying Eddie Guerrero is Dominic's daddy, but I think Dominic is just doing that on purpose, like with the hairstyle and boots and all of that stuff. But when Ray mentioned Eddie Guerrero, Dominic said something like, I'm just like that's my father, or keep my father's name out of your mouth, or something like that. And people act like that didn't exist. Like, they just skipped over that. The commentary was like, oh my God, oh my, like they wasn't doing nothing. So, I didn't even see rumors being started online, but I mean, is it true or is it not? I could believe, Eddie sleeping with Rey Mysterio's wife. I mean, Eddie's just, used to live that lifestyle back then. These women ain't loyal like that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it could have happened. Dominic looks a lot like Eddie. And I mean, Vince McMahon always used real life drama in his matches. So probably was something backstage, some family turmoil, and they did the custody of Dominic match. That probably was real, but maybe one of y'all investigator YouTubers look that up. See if Eddie Guerrero is really Dominic's father. But that was Raw. I'm going to give Raw a 5 out of 10. It was okay. It was better than the mega hot dog water garbage that Triple H gives us. But it was only good because Ray came back. Logan Paul came back. Asuka and them had a good match. That was it. So y'all put down in the comments what y'all liked about this Raw. Peace.